Well, good damn afternoon, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. And of course, people, you know, this is 100% viewer funded. So I need you to wash your hands and then stick them all the way inside of your generosity and pull something out for your boy. Cash App link will be in the description box. I got big things coming up. I want to give you a better product, so I need your help. So, the big shooting in Florida. You heard about it. An evil white man went to a Dollar General in Jacksonville, Florida, and killed 3 black folk. A 52-year-old woman, a 29-year-old man, and a 19-year-old young man all lost their lives senselessly to this racist piece of shit, by all accounts. The sheriff said that it was clear that he didn't like black people and that he wanted to hurt black people. And he wrote all kinds of white supremacist stuff on his weapon and drew a swastika on there, a very shitty one at that. Just similar to the white shooter, the 18-year-old white shooter who killed those black folks at that grocery store in Buffalo last year. It was weird. Why would you write stuff on your rifle if you've espoused these things online or to other people? This kid, this idiot who killed the black folks in Jacksonville, he left a suicide note and some other information at his parents' house where he lived, and he called his dad to let him know that it was there before he went out like a pussy and killed himself. So, of course, it's a tragedy. It's terrible. And yes, it's racially motivated. But my question is, and why is such a big deal made of this being racially motivated? This should be a blip on the evening news. Yes, it's sad. A racist white man shot 3 black people in Jacksonville. It should be reported on. But Sloppy Joe commented on it. Is it that big of a deal? There's no place for white supremacy in this country and blah, blah, blah. I wonder if he thought that when he was hanging out with segregationists. I wonder if he thought that when he was hanging out with them, talking about how nice it was to hang out and what lovely people they were. But it's all a scare tactic. It's all bullshit. You know what? I was looking up a different story, and I'll get to it in a second. Well, fuck it. I'll tell you now. Saw this one. White Jacksonville shooter kills 3 black people. And I was like, wait a minute. Wasn't there a story? Was it this year, maybe last year, where a black dude in Georgia shot 4 white people because they were fucking white? And so I go to look it up. Black man shoots white people, Georgia. And guess what they brought up? White man kills black people. No, I said black man kills white people. Google. And all it brought up was damn near a full page of what happened in Jacksonville. Why? I clearly wrote black person shoots white people, but it gave me white person shoots black people. Why is that? This is a scare tactic. They see all the black folks, namely black men, going over to Trump's side, and they're like, no, we got to do something about this. They're supposed to be scared of a boogeyman. They're not supposed to be waking up, wising up, and moving over to Trump's side, the conservative side. They need to be angry and scared about some bullshit that doesn't matter. So we need to do something about that. Meanwhile, you have these woke Hollywood Negroes and these talking heads who are talking about how terrible it is and look at the racism in America and the white supremacy, but you're quiet as a fucking dead church mouse in Chicago when 7 people get laid the fuck down between Friday and Sunday. You don't say shit about that. And as I mentioned, the guy in Georgia, he shot 4 white people because he didn't like white people. So where was all the outpouring of this kind of racism? Where was there's no place for black supremacy in this country? Where was all that kind of talk? And it's terrible. The people he shot, one lady, the 52-year-old, she was an Uber driver. She was there dropping somebody off. 29-year-old man, he was a father of a 4-year-old girl. He was just there trying to shop. The 19-year-old, he was an employee of Dollar General. His father said he was just there trying to work to have some extra money in his pocket. We've all been there at 19, right? This is awful. This is sad. But this is not indicative of our country. Because there are a few loose cannon, racist, murderous assholes, that does not mean that America is a racist country. And if you look at these racially motivated mass shootings, there was one this one this year, and there was one last year. They're pretty rare, thankfully. That is indicative of a civilized society where this isn't the norm. Imagine if you flip-flopped the two. Imagine if you had as many racially motivated white supremacist murderers as you do black gangs in the inner city. What if instead of a bunch of wild-ass nigglets killing other black people to the tune of 7 in one weekend, what if that was 7 white supremacists who killed black people? What if that was one white supremacist who killed 7 black people? What if it happened with that kind of frequency? Then you'd have a point. Then you could say, damn, look at all these white supremacists gunning down these black people damn near every day. What if in Chicago, instead of having 800 shootings that are mostly gang related, or 800 homicides, there's over 4,000 shootings a year. But let's just whittle it down to homicides. What if you had 800 white supremacist related homicides in Chicago? Shit! Al Sharptongue would be tired as fuck. He'd be running all over the country. He'd be going to so many funerals, giving so many eulogies. He'd get the names mixed up, the name of the church mixed up. He's like, shit, I'm sorry, guys. This is my 15th white supremacist related shooting this week. But that's not the case. Shootings by white supremacists are very rare because white supremacists are rare. And one thing I love that the sheriff said, he said this guy was a bad guy. He was evil. He said it's not the guns. Far too often, the blame and the focus goes to the firearm. He said, if I take my gun off my belt right now and sit it on this podium, it will just sit there. Nobody will get hurt. But he says if a bad person with hateful intentions grabs it, then it becomes a problem. And that's so true. I wonder how long it's going to take for him to be called a coon and a sellout for saying that, not blaming it on white supremacy. They probably didn't say white supremacy this much in the 50s. Shit. Every time you turn around, it's white supremacy. Where? I don't see it. I see white people all the time. I see white people every day. I see white people. I have a white person living in my house. Nothing. White supremacy, white supremacy. But this is their wet dream. This is what they wanted. Oh, man. You know that feeling when you climax, that feeling that goes up into your thighs and shit? Ladies, you're sitting there. However you come, you know that feeling, that's their feeling. Oh, white shooter, black victims? Yes! You never heard so many high fives in your life. The CNN building, MSNBC. Just, yeah! White shooter, black victims. Finally! I need a cigarette after this story. It's a shame. It's terrible. There are evil people in the world, and they're really pissed because the shooter bought his guns legally. The sheriff said he had no criminal history. There were no red flags. There's nothing we could do to prevent it. And then I guess in 2017, there was something with the Baker Act where if somebody is having a mental episode, they can be detained. But he was 17 years old at the time. And whether the paperwork wasn't filed properly, they didn't know about it. It wasn't in the police data bank. Even so, that was 6 years ago. It's a terrible tragedy, but the second place tragedy here is the way it's being covered by the mainstream mediocres and the way this is going to be weaponized in order to make black folks fearful come election time. Their number one focus is their power. They will shoot as many Negroes or white people or any other colored person as they need to stay in power. This is not indicative of our country. This is just another psycho. Oh, America, so many. There have been 500 school shootings this year. Bullshit. You take away all these murders, all these shootings in the inner cities, and we fall to a number 183. There's only 193 countries. We're at the bottom. America is not this crazy, violent, dystopian society. That's only in Democrat-run cities, where you have hordes of youth, of little niglets descending on a mall and stabbing a lady in the neck and shooting a gun. Take that away, we're like fucking Mayberry. And again, when these shootings happen, I do not say the shooter's name. Fuck him. I wish all the family members had a chance to piss on him before they bury him in the earth. What a coward. You're a fucking coward. You shot those people and then killed yourself like a punk? Why don't you face the consequences? You obviously wanted some notoriety from this, so why don't you stick around for it, you piece of shit? But there's my 2 cents on the latest white supremacist shooting in Jacksonville, Florida. And the guy, I guess the Dollar General was his target because he went to an HBCU beforehand. He went to Family Dollar beforehand. And you know what happened? Here's the part they won't tell you. When he went to the campus of the HBCU, guess what happened? Security was on his ass quick, asking him, what the fuck are you doing here? He left. What did the security have on their hip? The campus police, what did they have on their hip? Never mind. Then he goes to the Dollar General. Security approached him there and said, get the fuck out of here. What do you have on his hip? Wait, Jericho, are you saying that good people with guns scare bad people with guns because they're fucking cowards in the first place, and just like any predator, they want the path of least resistance? I think that's what I'm saying. Tell me what you're saying. Meet me in the comments. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell, because every time it rings, a piece of shit lefty cries. Utilize the Linktree link. Get your ass over to JerichoGreen.net and make sure you get over to Teespring to get your merch. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm out.